One of the things that sometimes can come as a real shock to us as parents is to discover that your child might actually have been mean to other people. Sometimes we get that feedback in real life, but actually it's almost more common that we might get that feedback in an online setting, because oftentimes children might just rally in with others. So if somebody in a group, for example, is being teased or being taunted, all it takes is for our child to add into that and to make one comment or several comments, which they mightn't think too much of because everybody's doing it from what they can see in terms of the chat that they might be keeping track of. But they mightn't realize that it's actually having a really big and negative impact on the other young person. So it might be tempting for us to get really cross with our kids when that happens, but in fact we'll get an awful lot further in terms of helping them to change their behavior if we can be a little bit more understanding. Teasing isn't a nice thing. Being not nice to other people isn't a nice thing, and yet it is something that children may do. Much better for us to recognize that that is just part of life, and that what we really need to help our children is to change their behavior online. So it might be that we have to go back to some of our principles about good digital citizenship, reminding our children about the things that they say and the impact that might have on other people, and that might be enough to help them change their tone and the various different things that they're saying. When children are online, a lot of what they see is this idealized version of other people's lives. And so social media can often leave our own children feeling that they just don't measure up. It's almost like, they're not as good as their friends, or they're not as good as their peers. And so when that happens, oftentimes they can take matters into their own hands to try to almost promote themselves, make it look like they're having this fantastic time, or to make it look like they're big and strong and powerful. And sometimes the way they will do that, of course, might be to try to use the expression, take other people down. So if they can be mean to other people, that might leave them feeling like they're in a better position. And so just as that can happen in the real world, that can also happen in an online setting. It's very difficult, I think, for children to remember all the time that the things that they're saying and doing online can be absolutely tracked back to them. Sometimes children feel like they're anonymous, that they don't have to take responsibility for the things that they say or do, which again means then that potentially they're going to say something or do something that they don't really think other people are going to notice, or that they don't think other people are going to attribute to them. Sometimes it's just a simple mistake. All the time for us as parents, it's about being able to track those mistakes, acknowledge when they happen, and then guide our children back to acting in a much better way. Part of what will help that, of course, is for us to make sure that we're also monitoring what's happening for them. So we need to actually look through some of their text messages, particularly in the early stages of them being online. We have to check to see how they're responding to other people, what messages are they giving out, as well as the messages that they may be receiving. It's quite possible that in your child's real life, they may not be that happy. Maybe they're struggling with something in school, maybe they're fighting with their friends. And so when they go online, it can feel like a real escape for them. And of course, if they're in this escapist world, then they maybe don't attribute what they're doing to being real either, which of course means they could make way more mistakes, saying things, doing things that actually have negative impacts on other people. Really important for us as parents not to freak out when we discover that our child may have said something or done something that's hurtful for other people. All we need to do is help them recognize the mistake that they've made, bring them back on track, remind them of how to act well, remind them about the fact that what they say does have an impact on other people, and when in doubt, think, pause, then press send.